Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Behind Tech Careers. Today, we have somebody extremely special with us, somebody with 25 plus years of experience in tech. Please welcome Archana. Hi, Archana.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, Archana. Firstly, could you give us a quick intro of yourself before we start with the podcast?
Okay, so this is Archana, and I have been handling the product, process, and people for long years, and I really enjoy working with people. And problem solving is my core strength area. Doing the collaboration is another area which I love, and mentoring is one of them, uh, including everything, all what I do. Let's go through internally and then we'll figure it out what kind of other things you would like to know more about me, Nishita.
Alright, there's a lot I'd like to know about you, but we're gonna go through the podcast and get to know bits and pieces of your experience and journey throughout it. Firstly, let's start with your career, since that's something that we talked about. So you started from an engineer and went on to be an engineering leader, and you spent 25 plus years across software engineering. So Oracle, cloud, logistics, architecture, and now even AI. So, if you look back to your career, what were 2 to 3 decisions that fundamentally changed its trajectory?
Okay. So, frankly speaking, I have never thought about that I will do this or that. Whatever has come my way, I have learned it and have done it with the full mind and soul, I would say.
Mhm.
Definitely, the support of all my people around has helped me to go into that particular journey. Because when I started my journey in 1999, my parents were there to help me out, to push me to the job, etc. And then my mentors were there. They have helped me a lot in understanding how things have to be. My problem solving skills have improved because of my mentors, my leaders, and since then, as and when problems have keep coming in, I have started looking into them from as if it is my own. If I just say one or two things, I would say one of them is the CEO mindset. So that has helped me a lot in taking holistic approach of solving the problem. It is not just the code, it is not just the task, it is not just that particular meeting which I am looking into. Whenever I'm into something, I do take care of everything around that as well. For example, when I'm writing a code, who is calling me, who I will be calling, and how the interaction will happen. So all of those things come into the picture, and then that helped me to have a broader view, which has helped the organizations as well to consider me as an asset rather than just a taskmaster. So I think this is one of the area which I have learned since my beginning, has helped me. Another important thing is whenever an issue happens, right? I always look at from the angle of that the person or the problem is having multiple facets, because nothing is solo. We can't win the game solo. It has to be all collaborative. Even if somebody passes IIT or medical or whatever, there is a whole lot of people supporting, right?
Hmm.
Similarly, for me
That's
also, either it is a problem or a support, or I am, it's nothing me personally, it is always the problem. So it is always the people around. So it is the, whether it is a problem, there are many reasons of it. If it is a success, then again there are many reasons. So if I just always be grateful to find those reasons, I will always be into the right place to solve the right problem or getting up in the ladder, depending upon where we are.
That is really insightful, and I do agree. It's often a collaborative effort, never an individual effort, which is something that often gets ignored. Now, this is something that even I face. Many people around me who are in their 20s, who are 25, in that range, they often tend to chase title or salary. Now that you've spent so many years in the industry, what do you think people should actually chase and optimize for?
Okay, I'll tell you one real time example. When I was at
Mhm.
Musk, there
Mhm.
was a, because usually when companies are getting grown up, right, they have their processes not solidified. So they will have, in India, different culture and people, and then in some other countries like Denmark, UK, US. So over the period of time when Maersk was being built as a technology organization, we had a lot of roles, etc. Years of experience did not match with the title and all across the organization. But when we are working globally, we have to interact with the people around, and then we were knowing, oh, this person is of this experience, but he is having a title more than me. And especially being in Indian, we
Mm.
have this habit of associating our titles with our status. This is something
Yes.
which I realized earlier. This was not the case. I would say, when because computer industry is very, I would say, very new, right, compared to any other
Mm.
manufacturing or something. So here,
Mm.
if you see in any other industry, titles are very stable. They don't change often. They don't have funky titles. But in IT industry, because we are very innovative, we started doing all of these kind of stuff, and that has created a lot of confusion. Now, for a global organization, it is important to streamline the processes, and hence you can't have the different titles for different criterias in the different countries. So we
Mm.
needed to have this thing done, and believe me, we were having a fear that many people will leave because they are getting downgraded, and it was a well thought through 1 year study we did to identify what kind of role or title we would like to give. But yes, despite of all our effort, there were some attrition happening. People were leaving because of that. I tried to make my team specifically for about 100 plus people to make sure that they understand the idea behind. Initially, I was also not convinced that this is the right approach because I thought of losing people. But when my
Mhm.
mentor has told me, my manager has told me that this is the, you should be known by your skills, not by your title. And that was the something which has stuck my mind. And I always think that that is the right way, because you can have hundreds of certificates. You may not necessarily have all of the skills supposed to be told in the certificates, right, or the trainings. So it's very
Mhm.
important on an individual to have own the skills rather than the certificates or the titles. In India specifically, we have, but I think slowly we are getting out of that culture as well, because titles have been so many. If you go to fintech companies, and if you go to any Amazon like company, there are vast difference in the titles itself, because it is private entity, and private entity can give any title to anybody. So
That
legally
is
they
true.
are not wrong, right?
Mhm.
But we need to be cautious about what we are bringing onto the table rather than what my title says.
That is true. Skill set definitely matters a lot more. And when we're younger, it's very easy to get swayed by titles and salaries. But I think it takes a little time to realize that. But I
Yes.
really hope my viewers
In
would
your
understand that a little
Yeah, in
earlier.
your 30s, you will not understand. When you are in 40, 45, then you will understand.
All right, all right. There's this one thing I often ask anybody who's extremely experienced. What's the one career mistake you've made early on that you would actively warn young engineers against?
I think one of the important thing is not taking care of yourself. We always feel very overwhelmed with the code, with the deliverables, with the happening around us, the the success which team gets because of the others and all, and what we think is that is the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We might have, when you're seeing your senior, you think that that person is working whole day, your manager is working or responding in the night and in the morning, and so on and so forth. But our industry specifically has tuned ourselves to work in the global market. So we work across the time zones, etc. You may not know that your manager was up to 2 o'clock, and because of that, he has or she has responded so that when 9 o'clock you are coming, you are working on that. You think 2 o'clock that person was available, so it is my responsibility also to be available. But he might be taking a rest in the daytime or some other time, right? uh,
Mm-hmm.
to make a balance. You have not learned this thing, and hence you make a mistake of ruining your health, which actually impacts late in your career. Because, as you know, if because of the health, if you take off, then actually then you will realize that what you have lost: your career, your definitely health, and probably wealth as well. Depending upon what somebody does, don't copy. What makes sense to you, what you feel right, you should do it. And health is one of the important area. uh, I frankly touch wood, I don't take off and my team thinks that she's always available. But I've clearly told them that I am available. It does not mean that you also have to be available. Take your time, do the work. We will have a contract that this work has to be done in this manner by so and so time. Let's not worry about that. You have to do it tomorrow. So that's how I have inculcated the culture in the team, and that works because they don't realize, right? The younger people from the college don't realize. They feel my manager is available, other person is working, so let me also work. That is a mistake. Don't do it.
A lot of this is hitting home. Freshly out of college, really energetic, ready to
Yeah, you
work.
have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, but if you inculcate the right behavior within you, then it helps you to go long, right? Because your career typically will be at least 40 years, right? 20 years you are passing the college, 40 years of career, when you will be seeing 60 years an old person being you. You don't want to cut short that, right? So how to not do that? To make a consistent, persistent effort, which can actually go long way. If you just work, first 2 years I'll work for 20 hours and then 16 hours, then slowly I'm cribbing also that there is no work-life balance because my friends are enjoying. That feeling will really hit you hard. So don't get into that trap. Think whatever is right for you, do it. If you enjoy working, enjoy, but keep a pace, because what I have seen is working for 20 hours a day regularly is not going to make a good product. You need a space, you need a time to think. Imagine a problem. We used to do this thing whenever a problem comes and we are like 2 hours, we used to give the limited time to it. Okay, 2 hours into it, it's not getting solved, we'll go for a coffee break, we'll go for a water cooler discussion, etc. And then it helps us some idea, some thought. So stepping back is important, not into that. When you are into that, you will not be able to solve the problem, and definitely not faster.
That is true. It's like your brain gets stuck in that moment and you need that short break to let it relax and breathe a little.
Yes, right. Very important.
Very true. I'm gonna use a lot of these advice in my day-to-day life after this. Okay, moving on. When we talk about success, I know it varies for everybody, but we're gonna talk about skills that make engineers successful now. So we often hear that technical skills get people the job, but soft skills are the ones that help them grow. So how true do you think this is when a person reaches a senior engineering role?
First of all, soft skill is not something which you can learn in a day. It has to be practiced. Okay. You can definitely have a 21 days Python or 30 days of Claude engineering course, but soft skill is something which has to be practiced every single day, and it takes time. Even if I teach, in a 6 months span, until unless you really practice, you are not going to get it for sure. Now, what is the importance of it? Imagine you are at your home and your mom is asking to do something, beta, get it done. And you are scrolling, I'll get it done, I'll get it done. And if it is important, your mom is never going to ask again you to do that particular work. Probably she will scold, her BP will increase, whatever that thing is. But if anytime, next time some important work comes, she's not going to ask. And then you see, you lose the credibility. Do you see this as a behavior or a soft skill or whatever that thing is? But it is really something which is making another person think that you are an asset. Right? So being an asset requires a lot of things. Why a manager should give you a work? Why a manager should think that you are a trustworthy, you will do a good job, you will do everything. I talk to many people and they say this is how it has to be done. Bro, I know everything. When they say this thing, then it is very difficult to make them understand that where are you losing the things, right? Not only on the behavior, but you are losing on your credibility also, right? And that is something which hits a lot. Many people think that doing the or showcasing myself as that I know everything is a cool thing. No, it is not a cool thing. Every time you want to grow, you need to be hungry. You need to be hungry for learning. You need to be learn, because I may not have 100 things which you are having, but I may be definitely having something which you can learn from me, or vice versa as well, right? So I'm definitely
Hmm.
going to learn something from you, Nishita. But at the same time, I believe I am having something to offer to you as well, right? So at this is something which actually keeps people growing, and more importantly, this habit of being a learner helps you to be good in the old age. If you see, most of the old age people have this problem saying that nobody wants to talk to us, nobody has
Hmm.
time for us. But the people who are having something to offer, maybe a helping hand, maybe something to connected with the kids, with the taking care of something, they are
Hmm.
doing very well because they are in good health and they have something to offer. So you need
Hmm.
to be making sure that you have something to be offered without being becoming arrogant. Sometimes we feel that I know everything, I am the best, right? This feeling will stop your growth.
Hmm.
And people don't realize it, especially I am hearing a lot of Gen Zs, but I've seen many Gen Zs as well who are ready to learn and pour their selves into the learning area in whatever manner. So it's I will not tag specific category of the people or age of the people, but
Uh-huh.
very importantly, I have seen those who do it irrespective of whatever their caliber, category, and age is. They are really doing a good, very good in their life from all the respects, whether they are old age grandma at home or a person at a kid, even if they keep learning. So it's very important for people to be. We have a saying, right? Be foolish, be hungry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like as long as you have the acceptance that there's a lot you need to learn and you're
And
willing
that
to grow.
helps you. Yeah, and that helps you in being adaptive, because IT industry is something which keeps changing. In fact, this is important in the regular life as well, because if you think your parents might be having your mobile, but your grandparents might not have used. If your
Mhm.
grandparents wants to have a connection with you, if you are not staying with them, it's important for them to be well versed with the mobile, right? So that
Mhm.
they can be connected, right? If they don't say, I cannot do it, I am old person and all, and that never works. You can't have every time going to them and all of, because there are other constraints. So it's important at any age to be adaptive to the environment, and for being adaptive you need to learn. So
That's true. That's true. Okay. Now, like we talked about communication and soft skills and how necessary they are, but they're often perceived as a non-technical skill, right? So, when suppose there's an engineer and they need to communicate a technically complex problem to a non-technical stakeholder or a business leader, how should they go about it?
it's a very good question, and most of the people fail doing it because they think that the other person is equivalent of them in the knowledge and experience. So
Hmm.
we, my one of my manager has told me to be reading the room, to have this ability inculcated for reading the room, and it really helps me to identify what my audience wants. For example, a teacher can be telling to some concept to the students, and that person may be telling the same concept to some other teachers as well, right? So how the delivery mechanism will be different, the narration will definitely be different, so hence we should be able to have the ability to change our narration, our mechanics for the delivery when based on my audience. So that is why all the speakers, if you see, they ask, who is my audience? First question they will ask, how many and who is my audience, right? Depending upon if they are students, they will have a different kind of narration for the same concept and the other way. Another important thing is structured approach. If I just start from, for example, I will be writing this code, Python library, this and that, the other person may not be even understanding what is Python, right? Depending upon from where they are. So I need to start from the scratch, and most of the time, until unless people ask for the technical aspects, like which library you are using and kind of stuff, you should be at the concept level. for the non-techie audience, because they do not understand what is probably the library or reusable component and contracts and so on. They will understand the contracts in terms of the paper contract which I'm signing. Of course, we need to bring down that concept to the level of. So it's very important to be structured. It is very important for us to be understanding our audience. If you understand that these two portions, you will be able to deliver it correctly.
That is, wow, that is actually really nice. And this is another thing that I do want to ask you. Since a lot of engineers do not really ace soft skills, a lot of times they struggle to speak up in meetings because they feel like they just don't know enough. So, how do you build the confidence to contribute without pretending that you know everything?
Very, very, I would say, every almost every student which I mentor, they have this particular problem.
Hmm.
In fact, when I was a kid, I was liking to do the debates and a lot of speeches. I was good at, but while speaking with the mic, I used to shiver a lot because I used to feel like, what will they think about me? Then my father told me, don't see the audience next to you, see the far behind. You have to think big, so you have to see far. So the moment you see just nearby, you will be seeing all the faces. They will be having this thing, or a lot of expressions they will be making, and then you will get distracted. So see the wall which is at the last, and that helped me a lot in not getting distracted. At the same time, when this is happening, when you are asking this question about how do they not get distracted and so on and so forth, first thing I have seen is, when we pretend to be that I know everything, then we make a lot of mistake in, because we are not actually knowledgeable, right? And moreover, knowledge is not constrained by X and Y parameters. It is vast. It has a lot of dimensions. So I believe anybody's claiming that I know everything is thinking in a wrong manner. It's thinking that I am the boss and I know everything, kind of stuff. That thought itself has to be taken out. You know enough. You know enough that you can communicate. And when you are polite, saying that probably and not probably, because when you say probably, this means you are unsure. So there are certain words which you should not use in uh, kind of setups. But
Mhm.
what you need to say is, in my thinking, in my humble opinion, kind of stuff, which tells that you're not the best, but you know enough, and say it in the with a full confidence. More importantly, your tone has to be polite. Very important. I will just show you one thing. Say if I am in the interview and I sit like this, legs up and kind of stuff, or I sit like this, or I sit
Mhm.
like a simple manner, right? It makes a lot of difference for the interviewer to understand what is my, what kind of attitude I am having.
Hmm.
These kind of various postures being shown by the same person have different meaning and may be required at different setups. But as a student, when I'm trying to learn, when I'm trying to navigate in the collaborative environment, I need to be polite. My tone has to be polite. I cannot be screaming on top of my voice, saying that no, you have to do this thing. I can say, let's have it done. So that tone in the sentences makes a lot of difference. And probably the people are not having that kind of confidence that they can. It's a practice. You can learn all of these things. There are tools, thanks to AI, which has helped us to not being biased and judged by another person or my friend. They can do a fair job of giving me the analysis on what words I am using, where I should not, and kind of stuff that helps us to improve on this capability. So it's important for us to be polite. That is the first thing. And say that I know enough, not all the dimensions of problem or the topic.
So, to be confident in the knowledge that we have without being too boastful about it or too overconfident.
Brag,
So, to be
yes. Bragging
humble
is,
and polite,
yes,
yeah, but
that's
present our
important.
ideas. Now, this is something that even I don't have an answer to. So, I would like to ask the expert here. how do you disagree with your manager or your architect or your senior without making it personal?
Okay. So the very first thing is, being a human being, we are taking things personal, whether you like it or not. Okay. At least we get impacted. That is one thing I have seen. Now, when we are talking to a manager or a person in authority, maybe your mom and father as well, the point is you need to be talking on the data terms, with the data, with the facts. It is also possible that your understanding about that data is wrong or not accurate. It is possible, right? Because with the limited information or thought process or a skill, you know that whatever is seen there, but there might be reasons behind that. So, as I said, be hungry to know what exactly is the cause behind that.
Hmm.
So it's important for us to say that in I think that this is what is, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Saying this particular sentence itself makes you not, in taking your stuffs as a personal. It tells that you are ready to discuss, right? Another important point is saying that you have done it. Finger pointing, that person has done it, is really, really, I would say, abandoned. It should not be used. It should be banned fully. The reason is, when you pinpoint something, even if a kid, if you just ask that why you have done this thing, this kind of tone and the kind of questions, why you have done this thing, instead of that, may I know why this has been done? What? Or I don't know the reason behind that. Can you please help me understand the reason? Even if a manager, a senior manager, or an architect is reviewing somebody's code and they say why it has been done, this should not have been done. Saying it in a different manner helps the other person to not feel offended and rather be becoming collaborative. As I said initially, nobody succeeds solo. We need to find the ways to become a collaborator with anybody. And if you are interested in solving the problem, becoming an asset to the group, then you need to have really practice those aspects if you think that you are not having. And more importantly, if things have gone wrong for whatever so reason, right? You should always come and talk about your point of view. Your point of view may be right, the other person may not be ready to listen, right? That is also happening. Imagine the person raises your voice, like your mom is raising voice or your father is raising, and you can't say anything. You're just going in your room and then thinking, why me, kind of stuff. What do you do is, nowadays people write text message to parents saying that I was thinking this manner and so and so. Or earlier we used to write a note and stick to the fridge to say that whatever we want to say, right? All of these things still help if you are thinking that you could not say, but keeping yourself or the thought process within you is going to kill you, right? Have a discussion in a polite manner. One important thing I would like to add on is, do not respond immediately because you are running high on emotions. So
Hmm.
what happens is, when somebody says something, you think that feeling offended, you go in the room, write the bad text message, and then you feel you have taken out your frustration. No, you have taken out your bad emotions, which is not good,
Hmm.
which other person may get it. So make the thing settle down a little bit. You yourself will be able to find the right way to say. It does not need every time a response is not required. Every single problem does not require a solution immediately. So give the time, whatever accurate time is required, adequate time is required, and make sure that you are responding to that in a manner which, if you were on the other side, how would you handle it, or taken it? So I always say that when people say, oh, this has not been done, that person is bad, so and so. So I always ask them, if you were that person, how would you be doing? And that changes their thought process completely, because then they are on the other side of the table and realize that, maybe I would have done the same thing. So it's important for us to be, putting ourselves into other person's shoes and then figure out how would I respond. Maybe we are very different. Every individual is different, and we are just going to respond in a different manner. But having a time given to slow down, or to get to a normal level when your emotions are running high is very, very important. That is how the fights happen, right? I say something, somebody else says something, and then it keeps growing. No fight is going to have a solution.
I feel like that's a very good advice to keep your cool, especially professionally, because it's very easy to lose your cool professionally when people are doing something you're very sure is wrong. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's a very good advice that way, you know.
Actionable
I'm
item to remember. Sorry, I'm just saying actionable item is do not pinpoint and talk only on the facts. This has
Hmm.
been done. Who has done it? It does not matter. Somebody would have done it, and for that, there will be a different way to handle it. But now we are solving the problem. So
Hmm.
this has been done. And, you know, I don't have to talk about who has done it. Let's figure it out how to solve this, how to move forward. Sorry, you were saying something.
I was saying I'm learning a lot from this. I'm really, really glad to be here. And
So,
that is very right. I do feel like when once we start realizing it's all teamwork and we don't pinpoint anything, we actually work towards the solution, a lot of the problems do get solved. Now,
yes.
there's this one thing that you mentioned, one of the first answers of this particular section, where you talked about how you can teach somebody soft skills for like 6 months, but if they're not really practicing or working towards it, it's going to have not much effect on them. So, can this is something I want to ask related to that? Can communication be practiced like DSA or system design? And if yes, what would a 30-day communication practice plan look like?
So very important. And first of all, it depends upon different people because not everybody is lacking or want to improve the same thing. Everybody is having their thought process, grown up, age, difficulties differently, and hence the plan has to be different. But in general, first of all, finding what you want to improve on, that is a self awareness, which is very important for anybody to identify that I do not have this skill and I want to improve that. Okay, so making that commitment to yourself is important. I cannot pinpoint that you are not good in this, and I can point out only for myself what I'm not good at, right? Now, the second important thing is whatever is the course correction, right? It has to be practiced. For example, I was working with a student who was stammering a lot, and he was growing in the number of years of experience, but he was not getting chance because company thought he could not be a good leader because he is a stammerer, right? Of course, it was a problem not by his behavior, etc. But what I suggested it couple of ways, like he can join the orators, he can practice in front of mirror, he can speak to the record recording himself, and then see what exactly he needs to improve on, where he gets stuck, and it will take time. So till the time, what he can do is he can tell to his interviewer saying that I have this particular problem. Be upfront about that particular problem so that when you are speaking, they do not judge you. They know already that, this person is that way. But also tell the same thing that you are working on it by so and so things, and it does not have any impact on your deliverables. So, telling the particular problem upfront helps people to not assume about, right? That is one thing. So then he was able to manage this particular well with the confidence, saying that all of these things is right, and I think he's become a lead now in one of the IT companies. Of
This
course,
is
he
so
still does, but he has used those techniques. So the problem with this particular thing was he was when he was speaking in the with the speed, he used to get repeated or all of these things. But then he started realizing that I am in the speed, and then he used to slow down, so the problem was. So realization is important, right? There are some problems which you can't really fix. Say, for example, if there is some genuine problem like your hands are not there or whatever, that's a physical problem, and there are different kind of solutions, and people are able to do some not. But behavioral problems, I believe people can handle it for sure because that is in their own control, right? Somebody gets picky about something. At home also you might have seen that your father wants table in a certain manner, your mom wants bed in certain manner, and if you do it differently, they'll get. So there is no point in doing the fight with them, right? Because I believe People will not change because some external party is telling them to change. It could be anybody telling them to change. No. What you need to do is, as a person, as that particular person who's getting impacted, what you need to do is choose your fights wisely. Okay. You don't need to fight on the issues which are very trivial. You need to choose what are you going to get out of that, right? With those kind of conversations, whether with the high emotions or whatever. Important point is, first of all, realization, and second thing, making the plan. Every single, for example, I was not very good in writing at the start of my career. Hindi writing was good because I was thinking in Hindi. When I joined IT, it was becoming very difficult because my English was not public school English. Then my manager told me that whatever document you write, like it's not good. You need to improve on, and that was my first review from the manager. And I started working on that, learning a lot of things, talking to the people who are actually good in English. So I started picking up a lot of words. Of course, I would not say I'm the best, but I have tried to manage it now. I started writing a lot of things thanks to AI, which helps me polish it. And definitely a lot of conversations which I'm doing with the various kind of people whose common language is English. So I'm able to manage it. So that's what I'm thinking. Realizing what you are not good at. Sometimes earlier people used to tell, your teachers used to tell that you are not good at that. Nowadays nobody tells. They are fearful. If you tell them, they will get different thought process. So now people need to realize themselves what is wrong with them and what they want to improve. Because imagine there are 10 things you have found. Not everything you can work with at the same time. So pick one,
That's
improve on, and so on.
Wow, that is probably the most insightful soft skill session we've had in all of our podcasts. I'm not gonna lie. And that is really, really true. I agree, personally agree with everything that you said. And I do agree with picking your own fights because you can't really change the way people have been doing things. So unless it's extremely essential, it's better to adjust in some situations, I feel. Now that we've talked about soft skills,
Oh,
let's
one
talk
second.
about
Oh, sorry. You
okay,
said
please.
adjust is probably the
The wrong
wrong
word.
word if you tell to
Yeah,
somebody adapt. Adapt to the
adapt.
situation. So that's what I'm saying. Being adaptive helps you to identify the actual bottleneck and then overcome or adjust or adapt to that situation rather than just saying मेरे साथ तो ऐसा ही होना है and I'll live like this. No, you need to, because being unhappy is really unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's a choice also in certain situations
Yes,
because things you
yes,
can you can adapt. You're right. Adapt was the right word. You can adapt through situations and also keep your own peace. That is very true. Oh my god, I'm learning a lot. This is the first time, like first podcast in which I'm repeating this a lot, but I'm really learning a lot right now. Okay, now that we've talked about soft skills, let's talk about how to become a better engineer in terms of skills. Now that there are thousands of technologies that are out in the market today, and there are a lot of things that somebody could learn today if they're in tech. So, how should a student actually decide if something is worth learning or if it's just right?
there have been lot of streams, and
Mhm.
they were always there, from the medicine to the engineering, and there are 100 fields of engineering as well, of course
Mhm.
medicine as well. Now point is, what do you like? Some people like, for example, I was reading your LinkedIn, you like to be a content creator, right? Of course you are an engineer by degree, but you like it.
Mhm.
So you are
Mhm.
mixing these two things together. You are trying to have the DSA sessions with the content creation of your natural passion towards.
Mhm.
Similarly, I would always say there are two types of people. One is they like whatever they are doing, and the other type of people, they do what they like.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you need to be either on these two categories. There is no third. Otherwise, you are going to be unhappy always,
Done.
right? So the way how I see is, whatever passion you are, and you know it, nobody else will be able to tell. And it's not that
Mhm.
it is written on the stone. You will keep changing your passion as well every 5 years or 10 years. Usually 5 years is good enough, where you will have, in first 2 years you will learn that skill, third year and fourth year you will be mastering that, and fifth year you will start getting stagnant or bored. This is how I lay down the skill set Nothing.
Hmm.
Now, what happens is after the fifth year, you will start thinking, now that zeal is not there, and I want to try out something else, and I get bored, and market has changed, and technology has changed, and all, then pick up something else. Point is, whatever you do, whatever you like, how good you are in that. That is important. As I told you earlier, certificates do not matter. You can have hundreds of them, but not have the skills for them, or all the skills. Some companies require jack of all, who can do everything. Some companies requires niche skill. You can have your own company as well, which is solving a specific problem, right? The point is what you like to do, where you can actually spend time without having food and without having the sleeps. Is there something, some dream which you are having, which is keeping you awake while you are sleeping? That is something, if you find, that is the place you should try out. And whatever you do, I can tell you, there are company, Urban Glam, or all of these things, cleaning companies. I am always fascinated with the cleaning, so I'm just taking that example. They were always, cleaning is something which nobody nowadays people want to do. They want to have the things clean, but they don't want to clean it because they feel it is somebody else's job, right? But they have picked up. I am hoping that person behind this particular idea is the person who really likes to clean this. Basically, he feels that cleaning is a problem which I need to be solving it, and that is why he created the company behind that. So it's important for you to have your passion with your income.
Hmm.
That helps, right? If you just have your passion but you don't have an income, you will not be able to support your passion. So the right way is to have your passion blend with your income, which will keep you going growing, and more importantly will keep you happy, which is the most important thing in today's life, right? We have a lot of unhappy things going on, right? Always crib about. So it's better to be happy in whatever we do. And from that perspective, the simple thing is whatever you do, do it the best. So if you are solving DSA, solve it like nobody else. Of course, it will take time, but you need to be then going into that 100 problems, 1,000 problems. And one important thing I would say is people learn the skills as if it is a textbook kind of thing. They don't see the application, they don't learn the application. Nowadays, if you see, companies are looking as a front end, sorry, there is a term called FDE, frontline engineer, uh,
Hmm.
where the person actually does the coding, understand the business needs, and create the solutions, right? So people are looking for the solution providers. It could be engineer who understands the business. Ultimately, what matters is how I'm growing my business. If I have 10 PhD people who are just doing the theories and not giving a solution on how I can grow my business, they are useless to me as a business person, right? So what I'm looking is from all the engineers, the request is make sure whatever you are learning, you know how to apply it for the business growth. If you can't do that thing, then believe me, people will not pay you for it, at least in the long run, they will not pay you for your skills, because everything is coming down to a money. People want, organizations want money, you want money. So how will the you will have your skill set attached to the money? By giving the mechanics, by giving the solutions to generate the money. If you do that thing, I believe you are like priceless. At that point you will be growing like anything.
Now, there's this. You did mention how having that depth of skill is way more important than the breadth of a lot of knowledge. So, when we talk about the depth of
Initially,
skill, initially, yes,
yeah.
in one particular field, being the best in that, offering the best solution in that is the go to. Now, when we talk about this, how does one know that they've moved on from tutorial level knowledge and actually understand that technology?
So it's like, preparing for IAS exam or JE exam. You are never done with your preparations. Exam
Hmm.
date is there, and you actually give the exam with whatever knowledge you have, and whether whatever rank comes, it comes, right?
Hmm.
Similarly, when you are just thinking that I will do this and this and then I will apply that particular knowledge into something, it's never going to be that. It's possible that the solution which is required is probably not requiring all of this knowledge, because
Hmm.
if you think from that I will first have this knowledge available, then I will do this stuff. No, you are going, the best way to learn the technology is solving the bug. I have always put up the new freshers onto solving the bugs or creating the very fundamental things. When I joined Oracle in 2003, I was given the chart. The first week was to read the logs. They've already, there was some product was there, and read the logs and figure out the flows and explain to us. This was my first task in Oracle.
Hmm.
And believe me, that has helped me a lot of things: how to set up the database, how to have configuration, how to have various flows, how to have various microservice setup, and so on and so forth. So the important point is, because I knew what microservice is, but how to have it in the production environment, that I learned from there. And having solved the bugs gives you a lot of insights on from where it is coming, where it is going, what are the 20 options, how this bug can be produced. This nobody, no book will tell you. So
Hmm.
learning on the job is the best thing. That is why we do have internship programs, right? That
Hmm.
learning, you are learning your theory, but actually when you
Hmm.
put that into the practice, that is when you learn how to create the solutions. And that is why my advice to everybody is, whatever you do, there are many students who tell me, oh, I have created this profile, this POC. Even today, I was reviewing somebody's code. Everything
Hmm.
was hard coded. And it was from a postgraduate diploma program. They have done the capstone project. The mentors also have told, yeah, this is a good one and so, very good, perfect. But actually, if you see the code, nobody can use that code. Not even it can be deployed outside your environment. Then what you have made to learn. Ultimately, what we need to learn is how to utilize this thing to solve some problem. Just solving a problem in your own silo is not going to help you to gain the business. So
Hmm.
having a mind which is solving, or which is making you learn to do something which is solving business problem, is the best. You might have heard about, a lot of dropouts have created wealthier businesses. How
Hmm.
do they do? They don't have any certificate. They have a mindset to solve the problem and generate money out of that particular
Hmm.
solution. I'm not saying everybody should drop the school. That gives a lot of thought process and various dimensions to your thought, but it is you who needs to think about what kind of solutions, or what kind of application I want to do with this knowledge,
That
right?
is
I
true.
mean, chemistry everybody reads in 10th and 12th, right? But somebody makes the bomb, and somebody makes the medicine, and somebody else makes something else. So it depends upon what kind of application mindset you are having.
That is true. And a solution oriented mindset, irrespective of whatever solution it is solving, hopefully not the bomb one,
Yeah.
but
No,
solution oriented
bombs are
mindset.
also required for some different cases.
That is true. But still, I do believe in having a solution oriented mindset because as long as you're solving a problem, your skills are valid. So I feel like that is
Yes.
also a very good way to assess your skills. That anything that you've learned, does it solve any problem out there?
Correct.
So I
And
feel like
and
that would be a
what is skill? Like, I always ask, whatever you have done, it's good, but
hmm,
who should, or why should I use that particular thing? Have you thought about that? If not, then your solution is of no use to me, and hence I cannot, pay you for that. So hence it is important for you to have your skill set attached to some solution which is generating revenue
hmm. That is
or
that is
saving
very true.
money.
Oh, priorities. Now, when we talk about skill set and skills and a lot of things related to tech, we have to move on to architecture and system design for sure. Now that you're a senior engineer, we can get your perspective on a few things also. So, when you're designing a system from scratch, what is something that you think an engineer should think before writing the very first line of code?
Okay. One thing is, architecture is never written in the stone. It keeps
Hmm.
evolving. So solving a problem which is going to come after 1 year now is wastage of time and resources, because then you will think about 5 instances, 3 databases, sharding, and so on and so forth, right? And you will actually, because these are complex solutions, you are going to take a lot of time, while maybe that volume is not going to come right now. So having architecture done for the need and prospective futures is important. So combining the future and the current need is the ability of an architect to think how extensible this architecture can be. What if
Hmm.
X piece is changing in scale or volume or new technology? How will, without changing the entire architecture, I will be able to plug, right? So
Hmm.
this is important aspect, because not solving all the problems of the future right now, this is one thing. And whenever the problem comes, how easy this will be to plug the solution, to be plugged. These two
Hmm.
aspects, if you think while doing the design at the first time, you will be able to do a extensible, maintainable, pluggable, scalable solution, right? Which does not require all the solutions to be placed right now, but as the product grows, you will be able to manage it well. Pluggability is something which I am putting attention to, because every software, if you see, within its shelf life is 3 to 5 years. You change your Apple iPhones every 3 years, and so on and so forth, right? But businesses cannot afford to change the solutions every 3 years. They have customers who are, 20 years, 10 years. They are having a lot of other things. Say, for example, changing a SAP to S4 HANA is a nightmare for company, even big companies, right? Because
Hmm.
it is designed in whatever that manner. But they have to do it because the version has been changed and whatever new technologies have come. So
Hmm.
this learning is important, that system should be collaborative. It should not be that we call it as a loosely coupled components. Okay.
Hmm.
So this means today it is Kafka, tomorrow it can be something else. It is important to
Hmm.
have that thought process in mind. And hence, whatever we are doing, say for example, if I have to send from the 20 components, I need to send the messages to Kafka. Irrespective of whether I'm doing SQS or any other mechanism or Kafka or some other version of it, I should not be changing the rest of the things, because my rest of the application needs to have the notification done, or messaging done. So it should be at the place where minimally I can change the code and still leverage the things. Sometimes we need to have an alternative solution as well. Kafka is also there and SQS is also there. Imagine one component is having difficulty, so I should be able to route the things to the others, right?
Hmm.
So to make those, and you will be able to do all these things only if you have designed the system in a pluggable manner, in a configurable manner, highly customized manner. And that is an important engineering, I would say, input which all of the architects needs to have in their thoughts. Otherwise,
Hmm.
any small feature, because go to market is very important for the business owners. I want to have this thing done. If you take the entire design to be rewritten, they will say sorry, and they will lose the business and customers as well. So it is important to have the loosely coupled, highly extensible, and modular design in such a manner that it helps you to plug and play various technologies coming in and have the
Hmm.
stable product line, at the same time increasing the feature list as well.
That is very insightful. There were a few follow-up questions that we had initially, but I think all of them got answered with this. And that is actually
Okay.
now that we've talked about everything that has changed and how things are going, one thing that we have to discuss is AI. There's a lot of fear about AI, a lot of thinking about AI. But before we talk about any of that, what I want to ask you is you're currently architecting an AI agent platform for language localization evaluation, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So, what made you move from traditional software architecture into AI?
AI is something which helps you in multiple ways, but it is notorious in multiple other ways as
Hmm.
well. Okay. For example, wherever you need accuracy, 100% confidence, AI is bad. Okay. totally depends upon the data it has been trained, and it really requires you to be having a lot of software guardrails to make that happen with the 100% accuracy. And still the chances are that 1 or 2% when you are showing it to your CFO or actually putting things into the production can go wrong. That is one. Second important thing is AI is helping where you don't have lot of answers and you are figuring out. It's very good there because it has the general data. Of course, the specialized LLMs are also there, but they are also good in their own area, still general to that particular area. Okay. So when I'm saying some LLM is good in, for example, localization like Sarvam or Bhashini for Indian languages, they are good in translating that particular area, but they still are general. Say, imagine if I want to have some different combination of an English and say Tamil, right? It may do a bad job, irrespective of, it's like, bad intern who, despite of you giving lot of instructions or specific instruction, it can still go wrong, right? So finding those nuances is important, and people, those who actually build it, they know the reality, how things are and how much effort. This is really an engineering aspect. It is not something that anybody can do it easily. When you are doing a content creation or anything where accuracy is not 100% required, then AI is pretty good because you don't have the answer. For example, when I'm doing the translation, I need to make sure if Archana Shukla is written, Archana Shukla is written. It is not written, something else. It is not written Radishya, or it is not written in, if I'm asking it to write in English, it is not writing in Chinese. It does that. Okay. So I need to have the guardrails. Oh, it should be using the scripting, what I'm asking for it. So that is a software engineering. Rules and regulations, I need to do it. Hard rules I have to put up, fail that thing, put it on to the humans to validate, because how many times you will do the translation with the bad intern? You will give it to some expert, right? So this is where it is important for us to be differentiating on what AI can do and AI cannot do it, not put the AI in the bad use cases. For example, if you see financial institutions are still not using AI for their core work. Financial for forecasting. Forecasting is a very important thing where AI can help. But still, the error margin is just so bad that even if it is like 3% or 5%, if you are saying error margin, it can still go wrong. And forecasting by its nature is also error prone, right? How much ever data is there and all. So think about AI as a human. If human can make mistake, then AI also can make mistake. Okay. If human can have like 98% of the instruction correctly followed, AI also can do it. That is where we have to think about AI as our partner, that it's another human who is working like a human, not as a machine. When we think AI is a machine which will solve all our problems, boss, that's not the way. It is not going to be doing that. It works on the various instructions as a human would do. And here, if I have to do 20 things, I can hand over all 20 things to it and say, okay, get it going. Draft the email, but don't send it until unless I see it or send it. Until unless it is important. If I imagine if they use bad language, I'm the responsible person, right? My customers will be offended because of it. So I need to take the responsibility of whatever my intern is doing. Even as a leader, when my team is doing something wrong, I have to take the responsibility, right? Not I can just say that, oh, that person in the next seat has done something. That's not the way. It's my responsibility to train them, to get it reviewed and whatever. Same thing with the AI as well. Now on the job side, I have seen a very good shift to where people have to learn AI without at least using the tool. So whether you use Cursor, Codex, Claude, whatever you are using, or Copilot, you should be having your how to use them very clearly. Whether you are making the skills, instructions, whatever that thing is. And more important, that is where I was telling you the business mindset, the how to have the solution which actually helps the business to grow works here. Very important, because if you just write the task or the code Many people say, I am the backend engineer. Okay, so backend engineer work can be done by AI, code can be written by AI. Now, what are you bringing? Are you bringing the system design concept, scalability on the system? Because AI needs to have needs to know what is your system and how the scalability should work. AI needs to know, and somebody needs to tell it. So that is where you are adding your value. If you just say I'm a backend engineer who writes code in Java and Python, sorry, the error is gone. You need to upgrade yourself. Right? So it's important for us to be changing our mechanics or our skill set according to the market needs. Otherwise, definitely we will see whatever is happening. And what is happening on the company's side is something I believe many of them are having FOMO. Many companies are having because other companies is laying off and investing into the AI infrastructure. I should also be putting. When I'm talking to many founders, they don't have a real use case. They have the use case to develop their solution using AI, but very minimal use of AI is there. There are many industries. Content creation is fine, creating the website is fine, so on and so forth, but actually managing the order booking or booking order or managing your inventory is something which AI can help. But ultimately, there is a full fledged application which has to be built on top of that. And for that, AI enabled engineers are required, but you can't just leave everything to AI.
I was saying that is very very on point, because there's a lot of anxiety. Like I remember the back end developer example that you gave. I want to build a little bit on that. There's a lot of anxiety about AI taking away software engineering jobs as well. Like people are really anxious about it. And while you did sort of address the answer to this question through your last answer, I do want you to answer this also. What do you genuinely believe is going to happen to software engineering roles over the next 5 years?
So, software engineering roles definition has to be modified.
Hmm.
Okay. When I say a software engineer, earlier we used to have the titles like software engineer UI, software engineer backend, software engineer DevOps. This used to be the titles and the roles were defined like this. Now, a software engineer has to be AI enabled as well. Similarly, when we were having a full stack engineer, it was not including sometimes the DevOps engineering as well. Only the full stack developer used to be the backend and the UI developer, right? Then we started saying, okay, we need the person because if I'm writing the code, why should I give it to somebody else or I need to hire another person to deploy my code? I rather want me to be able to do this thing. So that is where full stack definition was modified with the DevOps engineer as well. Now, another modification is required where it should be an AI enabled engineer. What that means is a person should be able to code, review, test using the AI, right? Be able, if you say AI enabled engineer, this means you know the tools and technology, you know how to use the LLMs, agent, and not only use it, you should be able to write it. So if you change the definition, and what are you going to get out of that? An AI agent or coding agent, which helps you to write your code faster. That's the only thing you are going to get when you are exchanging your title with the AI. If you are not, then I don't think so. Companies are ready to invest in you. So I always tell the person when you say full stack, are you an AI enabled engineer? And if with all of these things, you are a person who can handle the business or understand the business at least, how to have the solution done, which your company gets benefited out of that. That's important. Many people come to me and say, I have done this project. I do not know what is the business value out of this. The task was given to me and I have written that in my resume. And I ask, imagine it is your company and somebody is writing this or somebody is getting this job done. Where do you think it will be fitting in your business? Can you identify that particular area? Of course, as an intern, nobody gives a good production quality work to them. Still, there are biases there because they don't trust right now. There are some smart interns as well, no doubt about they are doing pretty cool things, building their own applications and companies even. But there are many who are not having. And that is where I ask them, even if you were doing just the task, can you identify how this will be benefited for your company?
Hmm.
Say, for example, if you are just writing a dashboard, right, from the Power BI, basically Excel's and Power BI dashboard, you are a data analyst. Can
Hmm.
you tell me how will it help a CFO who is in the room to understand this line, which is, or lines in your bar, help him to take a decision which is going to benefit, or understand where are the things to be put up? That is where, a dashboard or a data needs to be put up to a CFO in such a manner that this helps him to take the decision. If this is not happening, you have not done your job well. Simple. So you should be, as a data science engineer, data analyst. Researchers are there. We are not no more in the government company, and even government companies have also changed their faces, right? They are not anymore 20-year research companies.
Hmm.
They are releasing the stuffs very quickly. So same way every company wants. Think from that perspective. Even if it is not used, you can say that I have built this thing which can do these things. So if
Hmm.
you put your project in your resume in this manner, people will see that okay, this person is not just the task executor. He or she can think beyond that, or she can think what is the value coming onto the table when I'm hiring. He can help me, or she can help me in bringing the revenue, making the decision easier. That is what every company's board of director wants, isn't it?
That
So if
is
you are
true.
bringing that, then you are the better.
You did emphasize on solution oriented mindset multiple times throughout the interview, and I think the essence of this is, are you actually truly adding value? And if you are
Yes,
adding value, you will stay relevant even after 5 years,
yes,
right? Yeah. Now,
yes.
there's this one common thing that I do want to ask you. What do you think makes an AI system agentic rather than simply an LLM powered application?
So if you know the definition of agents, AI agents and the LLMs, one important thing is agents can take decision and execute that, while
Hmm.
LLMs are told to do the stuffs.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, agents can say, for example, there are 20 different activities. You want a job to be done. You
Hmm.
might have seen the airline booking or hotel booking or trip planner kind of agents coming up, right? All of them.
Hmm.
So earlier when we were starting this journey, when agents were not there, we were having bunch of LLM calls. Go there, do this, get this value, I will
Hmm.
analyze. So there used to be a very much of software engineering portion added by the developer to get the job done, right?
Hmm.
Now with the agents, because agents are supposed to be having, because thanks to the new framework and SDK which has come up from OpenAI, we are having a lot of these nuances inside that agent. Of course, agent has to do these kind of thing, basic thinking about as a human. So when imagine you are calling a call center guy and say that book my tickets for this thing with this date, and this is my budget, right? And then it does figure out the best options for you. If it does need
Hmm.
your concern, then it will come and call you saying that, okay, ma'am, this is the time available, this is the time not available. Shall I book this? And same thing is with agents as well. Exactly same thing. So, depending upon what kind of rules and regulations are put up in that, they can do further stuff. Imagine you have not given a clear cut instruction to that particular agent who is a manual agent. They will do the best of their effort. It could be, they will not think about the cost if you have not explicitly told that budget has to be this much and so on and so forth. Similarly, AI agent, they will do the best possible thing based on the constraint. Of course,
Hmm.
LLM is LLM. It can make mistake like a human.
Yes, that is really. I think I get the gist of agents versus LLMs now. Now, we did talk about a lot of jobs and the hiring market. This is something that I do want to ask you. What do you think has changed the most in engineering hiring over the last decade? Like, are companies still looking for potential, or are they looking for somebody who can start contributing immediately?
Very good question. And I think current market is impacted because of this behavior change. Earlier, I've done a lot of hirings, almost like 500
Hmm.
people I have hired so far. Every time I used to look at the potential, because technologies keep changing. The work which they would have done in their previous organization may not be relevant yet, but the thought process, the solution mindset, that is still important for me. And that is what I used to check on. But now the market is, and this requires time and effort. I had to mentor them, I have to help them to learn whatever new technology, tech stack, and so on and so forth. I need to give at least 1 month of onboarding time, and so on and so forth. Now the world has changed. Nobody is having time to train a person. Even for onboarding, we have AI onboarding agents, right? They will pinpoint to the various documents. You can chat with them. They will explain you the code base and so on and so forth. So within 2 to 3 days, you are supposed to be up and running. So the work which used to be like 15 days learning the things with some mentor, now it has reduced to 2 to 3 days. With that speed coming in, nobody has the time. Whether we are able to grasp that or not, that's a different point. Of course, the smart people are able to do it. But the point is, we are always, and how it is impacting the market is, we are always looking for the person who already knows the domain, because technology people can learn easily. Domain is something which takes time for people to grasp, because domain is, every single domain is pretty vast, and it takes time for anybody to learn the things. So what we are expecting, you are from the fintech domain, you are from healthcare domain, you are from XYZ things. Okay. That is one thing. And second thing is, you are AI enabled, business oriented, this and that. So what we are looking is a ready to cook kind of material, which I'm just putting next day, and then it is able. Of course, people are people, and they will not be able to, because your technology stack might change, if not today, another year. Every single month, you see how many LLMs are getting released. People are supposed to upgrade their skills with the reasoning, with the prompts, and so many other things, right? So looks like we are always in a rush to catch up. And if businesses do not have this kind of rush, means they cannot sustain with this rush. They need to be having, because their customers are going to pay them, right? Customers cannot afford to have this kind of rush in their businesses. So what is happening is, companies are in the rush to have it done immediately, but the people, those who are being hired, are maybe they are smart people, but still that rush is going to kill them. Or we might be ending up hiring a person who is pretty good in this area, but the moment things are changing, he or she may not be able to sustain. And then again, the layoffs will start. I'm just thinking from that perspective. Of course, reasons for layoffs are so many others as well, from performance to infrastructure building, so many other things. So the market is really harsh at this point in time. You need to be, I would say, extremely well in your delivery. Mediocres do not have the place until unless you really bring some value to the table.
It's
At least
very
the
fair.
ones who are getting into the job market, those who are stable, they can thank God, and then they continue to upskill themselves.
That is true. It's a very cutthroat market now. Like competition has increased a lot, and people want, like you said, ready to cook. So basically, people are ready to contribute immediately. And like you mentioned, that even if they are maybe not familiar with the technology, it's preferable if they're from the same domain.
Yes,
So that I think shows how much the market has changed from the past few years, where
yes,
people look at potential more, and now they're looking towards people who are ready to contribute even more. So I think it went from this scale to this, all the way from potential to
yeah.
contribution.
And moreover, I would say is, the people
Mhm.
who are hiring, right, the other side of
Mhm.
the table, is also very much scared right now, because they do not know. Companies are changing their policies every quarter. Earlier, this used to be a yearly plan, and people used to execute and all. Now it is every quarter it is happening, and hence people, those who are putting the efforts into building something, they are in hurry to finish within that quarter. Otherwise, they do not know whether the next quarter this project is still will be live or not. They still be working on in this company or not. So they are also in hurry to hire a person who can immediately start, the person who actually understands them, rather than we'll think about later kind of stuff is happening.
Mhm.
And no time for mentoring, no time for building the team which stays with the knowledge for long. My understanding is it will settle down because this happens when the era changes. So now we are in the AI era. It will
Very
stable
true.
because if you have seen Meta and many other companies, they have started realizing that releasing the people has not helped them to grow their business significantly as they have expected. And they
Hmm.
are saying the organization should be mix of AI agents and human. Earlier, the idea was with one human supervisor, we'll be able to have 20 different agents and we'll be able to get things through. You can get things through, but business is not increasing with that. And that is what is the worry for the businesses. And they are relooking their strategy on how we can make a pivot towards making the business better because that's what is needed always.
Hmm. That is very true. I feel like a lot of people have jumped on the AI bandwagon and then they're realizing that, oh, we cannot just make AI do everything. We do need people. And I feel like this change happened also when internet came into the picture. The dot com era also was when things became really fast paced all of a sudden, and then it's settled down after a little while. So I
This
feel
has
like
happened every time. Every time we
every
have changed. I remember when the machines have come instead of charkha, my uncles and all were there. When machines have stopped and people have moved to something else, it was always the case that people are looking from that particular and it's not that the jobs will go away somewhere. Of course, the when charkha was needed that time, hundreds of thousands of people were required to do that particular one piece of cloth. Now one machine can do it, and that is but people have also increased, right? So the need is also there. Different kind of materials are required. So machines are going to not replace it, but they will force us to train ourselves into something else.
That is that is very,
Yeah.
very understandable. Again, adapt. You have to adapt. That's what it's about,
Yes.
I feel. Now,
Yes.
this is another coming back a little bit to you mentioned how you've taken a lot of interviews and you've been a recruiter yourself. What makes a candidate stand out when there are like 500 identical resumes in front of you? What makes that one difference?
So first of all, talking to 500 people itself is manually impossible, right? For a single role. My hit ratio used to be out of 10 people, I used to take one. So 8 to 10 people when I'm interviewing, one person used to be the selected person. That
Hmm.
is, we used to do that. And sometimes when we are having the selected resumes coming in, say job fair or something, so we would do the pre-scanning and sort of thing. So we know that how many people are actually going to get to the level. Now,
Hmm.
to me personally, I really still look for the potential because I feel the person can be changed if the person or can learn new things if the person is not very arrogant or saying that I can do only this much. And the next question I ask him, are you ready to try out something else? And if they so no, I'm good at this, then that person has a start to at least growing himself into something, some other area, right? Imagine a new
Hmm.
challenge comes which requires a new solution, that person will not be able to think that.
Hmm.
But if the person says, why not? I have hired interns, you won't believe. The person was in Java, and I have
Hmm.
offered him the position for .NET because I asked him just when we were winding up, and I asked him, the work is not in Java and it is in the .NET. Would you be agree? Ha, I will learn that person. And I said, just because you don't have a job, you saying so? Well, maybe I will learn all of these things. And then I gave the job. And in fact, I have given the actual job he got in the AI, which was his passion. And he has done excellent. So what I'm trying to say, the adaptability to the situation is very important. How open you are to the ideas and kind of things which comes your way. That's why I said there are two types of people. One who actually do what they like, and the other people, whatever comes, they start liking. And the
Hmm.
second
That
type
is
of people are more adaptive.
that is very, very, very understandable. Now, you did mention how you personally hunt for potential instead of just, superficial knowledge or just, oh, they're good in this particular domain, but they're not ready to adapt. So, what do you personally think? Do you think the college brand that a person has, does it matter after one person has like 2 to 3 years of experience?
Nobody asks that. Neither you will remember your marks. You will never remember your 10th marks after 2, 3 years until unless you have been a topper, right? And
Mm-hmm.
still you will remember that I had maximum marks in this particular area. Not you will not remember what was your marks in social science and English and Hindi kind of stuff, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
matters is what is again the solution which you are bringing onto the table, right? College, some colleges are pretty good where they help students to really help grow their perspective,
Mm-hmm.
okay, by theory, by classes. That is why we say, oh, this college is good. Maybe because placements are good, maybe teachers are good, that is why placements are good. Why placement is good? Because students are learning well from those teachers, that is why placement is good, right? So there is a hierarchy of things why something is good or why something is not good. Of course exceptions are always there. It does not mean that good colleges do not have a not so good students. It is always the case. Or it's not that always you require a IIT brand to be a good candidate. So I always feel that it's personal how much because since I have this saying always, the teacher always teaches the same way to all the 50 students, but some people is excel and some people are backbenchers. Always
Mm-hmm.
in every single class, all of us, our classmates have been our, teacher, the students have been like this. Now, what makes that difference? It's just that the students' individuality. Of course, nowadays we are having stories for teachers' favorability as well, but ultimately it is the individual's capability, how they look at the material, what is being provided, or the opportunities, or they themselves are figuring out the opportunity. So the way how I say is every individual has the potential to make it in whatever manner they want. Are you the one who is scrolling the reels and TikToks and kind of the phone, or you are learning? You use the same mobile in learning some new concept. Even when you are walking, when you are doing something else in the kitchen, you can use your mobile to learn something, or you can go through Facebook reels, etc. Even in the Facebook, you can a lot of learning materials also come nowadays. So depending upon what where you use your time and what is your aspiration, that brings the persona in you.
That is very, very understandable. Now when we're specifically, now that we've moved on from the college tag, we've established that perhaps it's not completely essential, especially when you've had a certain amount of experience. How do you think any candidate should optimize their LinkedIn, GitHub, and resume? And when we're specifically talking about open source, how important do you think open source contributions are for somebody who's trying to break into the top tech companies?
So I had already done couple of sessions with the Geek for Geeks as well on
Yeah.
the how to make the resumes branding. What I always tell is make your own brand instead of following somebody that this person does in this manner, so I will also do. You are not that person.
Hmm.
Your name, your growing up, your mindset, your skill sets are different than the other person. So make your own brand with the as much as honesty you can be, right? So this
Mhm.
is one of the important aspect how you can have, and there are tips and tricks which I have given in the session, and I've written a lot of material as well. But
Mhm.
ultimately, it is the brand. It is how do you convey something to the person. Your resume should be able to talk about you when you are not there. Without uttering any word about you, I should be able to understand who Nishita is, right? What kind of personality she brings onto the table. Most importantly, why should I talk to her? What is the
Mhm.
value she is going to bring onto the table? That should be, I should be able to get that within 10 seconds or 6 seconds in the resume, and 10 on the LinkedIn. I should be able to get that. If I cannot, sorry, you are out. So this is how the time, because of the AI and so on and so forth, but actually this is the time people are spending in identifying the talent, and you need to have optimize your brand in that manner. I have 25 years of experience. I always feel I should write this and that and all of those experiences there, but nobody has time and interest in reading about me. So why should I even write it? Let's keep those aspects when we are talking to somebody, when I'm working with somebody. There's no need to have my life history told in the LinkedIn. I still am not done with the right kind of optimization, but I continuously look at how I can make my brand value better so people actually look at that rather than trying to think, oh, this is a historian, this is an ancient, this is like all sorts of things, right? They need to see a value coming out of me, right? Because time is money.
That is
Okay.
very, very, very understandable. Building your own brand, your own identity. And I really like how in all of these answers you also mentioned how you've been growing and learning from the entire ordeal. I think that is very, very impressive. A little rollback to interviews, because interviews are like a pain point for a lot of individuals. So when we talk
Yes.
about interviews, if you have a candidate sitting in front of you, what would you be evaluating about that candidate in the first 5 minutes?
The first 5 minutes are very important of any interview. Most of the experienced and mature leaders can identify whether I want to spend next 25 minutes with this particular person. In that decision happens in first 5 minutes. So what I will be looking at is this person curious? Is this person ready for growth? Is this person humble enough? Will this person be adjusting to my team of youngsters and experienced people all together? Will I have a personal persona issues with this person in the team, bringing that? Because I have confidence that we can make, if the person is looking for growth, we can teach him or her. Okay. If the person is, because everybody, all of you have learned, or all of us have learned from school to the college, various new things, isn't it? So we have been adaptive in some sense. But as you say, when you become a teenager, you are rebel little bit. When you become older, then you become something. You started framing your choices and how adaptable you are in your choices. That is what makes you different than the compared to the other person. Are you looking for a growth, or are you looking that now I'm going into the Google and my life is set now? Was Google is not going to hire you because they want to set your life. They want to have the work done from you and get the business out of that. That is what you need to learn. If you have that kind of aptitude, saying that yes, I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow the business along with me, right? Or I'm here to grow myself along with my business, with your business. That helps me to poke more to identify how he thinks or she thinks. It's important, right? Because I can be thinking about going to moon. Am I a realistic person or I am a hypothetical person? This is also important to judge, because many people have lot of ideas, but they fear in implementing that. They do not take action in doing the stuffs. They just keep talking about that, and that really takes the time team is having in getting something outcome related. It's very difficult for people to have just the ideas and do not actually put their feet down and get it done. So that is another aspect I would really look for. And three things. One is how you introduce yourself. What do you say at the end of that introduction? And how do you explain your project? What is the kind of, typically I ask this question, explain your project and the decision which have been done in that particular project. It could be technology decision, why it was not done, why the scalability aspect was not looked, or some kind of those discussion. And that helps me to understand whether that person has thought about those things which was a task oriented. If this person is task oriented, or this person is taking the ownership. Because frankly speaking, I do not want to go and sit on somebody's head saying that do this now, do this, and next you do this. That is not my job. My job is to give you full vision, and more importantly, saying that these are our constraints, these are the visions, this is how we need to reach to that level, and these are our stakeholders. Now you help me to build that. That is where your ownership comes into the picture. You will be excited saying, wow, Now I have to tell to my manager that this is how we can build. Rather than me telling, if I am telling everything to you, then whereas you are putting your mind. And then you will not have ownership. You will say that आज काम दिया है, I will do it. Tomorrow some other come and I'll do it. So that is like a labor and you know that kind of relationship, which does not
Hmm.
help in IT because IT people's mind is not limited. And in fact, I will not say IT people. It's always your time is not your mind is not limited to your time. You are never thinking in 9 to 5 manner. Never. You are always thinking before 9 what I'm going to do today, and after 9, after 5 that tomorrow I have to do this thing. This bug was not solved. That meeting is there, and so on and so forth. So your mind is never 9 to 5. And
Hmm.
then how can I means I cannot keep telling you what you have to think and what you have to do after 5 o'clock in the evening, right? It is you who need to think about. And that when I give the vision, that time you will be able to decide on your own. So
Hmm.
that helps, takes a lot of my time and my burden from where basically it shifts there, and then they will be able to. Of course, I'm always there to get it corrected because ultimately it's my responsibility when I'm hiring or when I'm being the team.
That is very, very, very understandable. And I really love how you started with how a strong candidate is a curious candidate. And you also mentioned how a person talks about themselves, about their projects, has a lot with you determining what kind of mindset that they have, especially when it comes to a project. But when we roll back a little and it's about talking about yourself, what do you think a strong answer to tell me about yourself looks like?
So if I am a student, for example, right, I will say I am so and so from this particular college. Have done my engineering with this CGPA. If it is good,
Hmm.
I'll mention. If not, then I'm not in this particular stream. I have worked upon these technologies with these kind of projects in mind, which has brought the values to my organization, to my college. We did this particular, and all of this in 120 seconds, not more than that. The the last para is apart from me being technologist or enthusiast in the technology, I do a lot of these things as well. For example, you could be in volunteering, you could be in sports, because telling a person that you are not just a machine or a technical person, you have your personal identity as well. That helps people to understand that you are a human, not a machine, because machine will not knock that I'm interested on sports and I have this. Of course, painting and all is pretty. If you are really niche into that, you should be telling. But keeping the relevant skills told to the say no, almost all the big companies are having sports teams, right? And if you are good, the person will say, yeah, this is thing. You can say I am interested in event management, right? Or I'm a good content creator, my work is available, and always say with the proof. For example, when
Hmm.
you are talking about your CGP, your resume says that your CGP is this one. Somebody can verify that particular message if they are interested or they feel that you are not authentic. Just saying I am very passionate about technology, where do I identify? You need to add that I have built this thing, which tells that yes, you have done something on your own. So never use something which is or alone, which is just the an adjective. Don't ever use just the adjective and do not add on something. You know, how will I verify that what you're saying is correct? So always helps that
Hmm.
tell that I am so and so and I have done this thing. So that helps giving you or giving interviewer a sense of that this person does not talk something, he or
Hmm.
she is grounded. So
Yeah,
this
we're able
particular
to put the
narrative
effort.
proof every time, every single time. And that is where I talk about the star method when you are answering. And all of those things are there, which helps students to figure out what and how they can communicate during, because 45 minutes is very crucial time. It's a high pressured situation. Sometimes, you are always having cough or water and kind of stuff. So it really requires you to be fully there without any distraction and little bit rehearse in terms of how will you structure, not the answer person. You do not know what kind of questions.
Hmm. That is very honestly very understandable. Though this is the first time I've come across providing proof for other things also, but it makes a lot more sense now that I think of it. So, another thing that I wanted to ask you, there are a lot of times when you're sitting in an interview, you really don't know the answer to what an interview is asking. So, is it all right to say, I don't know? Or, like, if you don't know the answer, how should you actually answer that particular question without losing that interviewer's confidence?
So, as I told you, right, the proof has to be there. Now,
Hmm.
you saying that I do not know will leave the conversation then and there, or will end the conversation there. What you need
Hmm.
to say is, I have not worked onto this particular area, or I have
Hmm.
little worked on that particular. I have heard about this thing, I have read about this thing,
Hmm.
and this is how I will approach.
Hmm.
Okay, because most of the problems are common sense.
That is true.
Literally, software engineering is common sense as long as you don't have to talk about the specific tool. So even if
Oh.
you don't know the tool name, right? For example, you are being asked that how will you today your system is handling 1,000 requests per second. Now it is going to be 1 million because of flash sale or something is going to happen. Now you do not know what is charging, how to have the distributed caching, and in any of those things, right? But
Hmm.
you understand one thing is 1,000 users per second and 1 million users per second definitely require something different. And if you think a little bit more, you will be able to identify this means I need more machines to handle, right?
Hmm.
Because one machine is at this is particularly it like one machine can handle only this one. So to do more, you will need more machines. To do more machines, there will be many different aspects coming in. How will they will make sure that all of the requests are being served properly? What if the data is needed here and there? What if the request has to be stored, is whether the session storage is required or not required. So you just start thinking from that perspective, and more importantly what we do is we just keep silent when we look. Okay, we will take some water and all. Please don't do that thing. You just start staring and say that, okay, I have not done this thing, but give me 2 seconds, let me think over it. That is a reasonable pause. 2 3 seconds is a reason. You can take 5 seconds also, but person knows that you have taken a pause to think. Okay,
Hmm.
just to think, saying that person has asked the question and you are, I have not done it. Now imagine what the other person will think. Are you a person who can find the solution? You don't know, that's fine. But are you the person
Hmm.
who try out or not? I am not looking for a person who does not try out. Definitely, right? Because then I have to spoon feed.
So, like, basically, not ending the conversation in such situations is very crucial. And even if you're taking
Very much.
time to think, it's very
Say
important
so.
to make it known.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that is very that I really do get that. I always used to think saying I don't know is like a better thing to do. I think this is the first time I've realized that it's better to just say, take a pause, and logically figure out the closest solution that
If
can be.
you absolutely do not know, he is asking for a space and all of those things. Now, as a kid, if you know how to do the space, sending the shuttle and all, so that
Mhm.
you can smile with the smile. Say, sorry, boss, I do not know, or sorry, sir, I do not know this particular area. But given the time, if you ask me, I'll research. This is another way to say for the item which you cannot logically think about, which shows that you are ready to learn.
Hmm. So this is also an opportunity to showcase your curiosity.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now, before we come to the last section of this particular podcast, there's just one more question I want to ask you about being a woman in tech, which is something a lot of women I think would relate to. So you've spent decades in a traditionally male-dominated industry. So what do you think has changed for women in tech, and what still hasn't?
It's a difficult question because I believe nothing has changed. Only one perspective has changed from the society is earlier we were, as a woman, we had to do everything. Office
Hmm.
jana hai, you have to have the parathas and lunch box and everything you need to. Now you have the support system and people are okay to have that support system. Earlier, most of the people, and still there are many houses I have heard that they do
Mhm.
not allow cooks or servants to come in and helpers to come in and then help the woman, right?
Mhm.
But and they want all of the women to be well educated, earning and all of those things. But that the kind of adjustment is required or adaptability is required to this particular mindset is still yet to come in many houses. Okay, but if I just look at from the corporate side, we have become a little bit more adaptive because there are many rules and regulations have been put up by the government and the organizations itself. For example, I was heading the POSH. I was part of the POSH committee where if somebody does some bad behavior with the woman, they can complain, and they're long back. This was not the case. Maternity leave has been legalized now, right? So all of these earlier when I was becoming the mother, I was not having this. I didn't even know like I can come back and the other side. So my manager told, if you come back, we will offer you, we will retain you, continue you. Otherwise, because most of the women in those days used to never come back, or they used to take a lot of time to come back. Thankfully, I had the support system at my home, so I could get. Of course, I needed to send her to my. I have a daughter, so I had to send her to crash, and thankfully those people were very good to take care of her, so I could continue my job. Otherwise, the situation was that I could, and many of the women engineers I have or have been in my team have suffered this particular case where there was nobody and they needed to. So one thing important is we need to ask for help. How to basically, if I just say perspective has changed, people are more adaptive to the support system. Women are also asking for it. Earlier, we used to take the things. This is how it is. My family does not like the food of anybody else making, so I have to cook. Now they have started talking about it. They have started getting accepted this request, or basically people are okay to have this particular request taken up. So it is important for us to be able to say what we need as a woman.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we need to think nobody is Brahma. They are not going to understand what we think on their own. Nobody will
Mhm.
understand. So what we need to do is to say, and of course, you can't ask something with the voice high. You have to be polite, right?
Mhm.
When you are asking something or want some change, because changes are very people are no people don't like changes. They want to continue with whatever that thing is. So bringing a change in the society is very difficult. We need to be we need to be having a very uh, cautiously done this particular change in the boardrooms. uh, Changes have been done, but still, for example, I was going for an interview where a VP job was required for a company, and it was for operations team. And despite having all of the, of course, I didn't have the VP position experience. Sorry, I didn't have the operations experience per se. So they would have thought, and somebody told me later on that they thought a woman in the operations as a head might not be a good idea because it requires you to be available, this and that, and it is easy for the words and all of those things. I said, that's not true. I have handled my production, my applications, and come like various other platforms area. That's a bias thinking.
Mhm.
So, but what I'm trying to say is still there are some pockets because people will never be of same thought process. It will take some time. And at this, so how do we deal with that? Because you can't change everybody. We need to be having our own thing done in a best possible manner. Because the moment you lose on your deliverables, people have a say that, oh, she cannot do it, oh, she cannot do it because of XYZ. So instead of having excuses that I have this thing, I have school drop, blah blah blah, I I I think that women are the best managers because they know how to delegate. they know how to get the job done with everybody around, whether it is in-laws, whether it is moms and dads and kids and everybody, and they are multitasking as well. But at the
Hmm.
same time, we need to take care of our health as well. So we need to be very collaborative.
Hmm.
One important mistake which all of us do is we do not share what is happening with us in the either side. So we do not tell. Imagine if I have a kid who is not keeping well, I don't tell to my boss and then
Hmm.
or my team. And when I am taking care of that kid at home, I'm not available, and they feel that I'm not working. Right? If I just
Hmm.
tell them I have a kid who needs to be taken care, then they will be more empathetic with me,
Hmm.
right? At least they will know my situation. Same
Hmm.
way, if I am having a presentation or a board meeting or whatever, and it is important for me and I need to prepare, if I tell to in my home saying that I have this time and I need this time to prepare, they will be more empathetic. They will not invite friends for the dinner at that very moment, right? But if I
Hmm.
don't communicate to the other side, they do not know what is going on with me and they can do whatever they like to do, and hence I may get impacted. So it's important to have the conversation done to both the parties. I'm not saying you tell all your financials to the boss and vice versa, but
Hmm.
you have to be you have to be communicating your situations, your plans to the other party as well, so they are aware and they can support you. Support does not come, they are not Brahma, they will not understand on their own. You need to
Hmm.
tell them. So, with this thought, I believe women are in a better position. Of course, they need to do a lot. I can tell you. So, they need to be a good time management skills. They need to have, and they need to be a good manager in delegating the things and reviewing the things. Most of the girls, if they do not have yet this particular skill, they will learn. But it's
Hmm.
important to have this skill. If you don't have, then it is terrible life.
Time management does take priority on that, but I do agree. Change takes a lot of time. And while we're on set onto it and it has begun, it's gonna take a lot of time to completely settle. But yeah, sharing what's going on, making the situation clear on both ends would definitely solve out a lot of issues.
Lot of
Okay.
issues, especially the small ones where just supporting, saying that yeah, I can order food at home, you take care of in the office, whatever is going on. It's a simple gesture. But if you don't
Hmm.
tell, they will expect you to come and then cook and all of those things, which you are just thinking what I'm doing, and you will make mistake on the other side as well,
Hmm.
right?
And
So
it's
it's
like a lot of
important to have
pressure.
this lot of
Hmm.
pressure. So with the small gestures on the other side, if you just tell them.
Oh my God, that was very insightful. And I do agree with a lot of it, very honestly. And the situation that I see around me also, women multitasking a lot more things and juggling a lot more things. I do agree with the change being on set, but it will take time, definitely, to settle in it. All right.
Yeah, many of us are in the advanced stage, while the many others are still learning. So
It's,
it'll
it's,
take time.
it's an even longer way for them, technically, because we have been lucky enough or blessed enough to get that opportunity, and it's even worse for them technically. But I do believe, in a more optimistic side of things, I do believe the change is happening and will progress with time. So that's something that I
As
really
long
look
as
forward
we
to.
are determined, as long as we are determined to do it, it will happen. But if I just think the entire world will work the way how I think, it's not going to happen.
It's a lot more effort than just wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Okay. Moving on to the last section of this podcast, which is really insightful and deep. We have a rapid fire round. This is basically where we ask you two options or a quick question, and you have to respond within a second, and then we move on to the next question. A lot of these things are stuff that you've already answered in the interview, but since it's a quick one, we'll just go about it if that's okay. All right. Okay. Let's go. Degree or skills?
Skills.
Startup or big tech?
Startup.
Manager or individual contributor?
Depends.
Okay, certifications, useful or overrated?
Overrated.
MBA for engineers, yes or no?
Again, depends. Your
Remote
passion.
or in
Depends.
Okay, open source, is it worth it?
Yes.
Prompt engineering, is it overrated?
No.
What's one most underrated engineering skill?
uh, I think customization.
Customization. Okay. And one most overrated tech skill?
Overrated microservices.
And the last one for this round is one skill every engineer should master.
Debugging.
Debugging. That is very understandable. Now, one final question before we end this podcast. If you could sit across the table from a 22-year-old you today, what is one thing you're going to tell her about building a career in technology? You can make this a longer answer if you want, but this is not a part of the rapid fire.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I would say you need to compete with yourself. Every single day, you need to make sure you are better than the previous day. Whether you are learning a new skill, whether a new tech stack, that is how you will be able to do a progress consistently. If you jump from one technology to another, or you think that other person is learning that particular skill, so I should also learn that thing because maybe it is too cool. You, if you don't have that heart into that area, you will not learn. You will not be able to successful. So better is you compete with yourself, do whatever you like to do rather than jumping because somebody else is doing.
That is a solid advice. That is truly a solid advice. Growing every day and ensuring you do what you want to do is definitely what people should look forward to it. Thank you
I
so
have
much
seen
for
many
this.
people just cribbing because they are in the wrong, or they feel that they are in the wrong job because of many reasons. They feel that they have not found the tactics to succeed there. That is one reason because nobody has told them. And many of these things are not written in any book until unless you really find that particular book which you want to read or somebody tells you. That is so this all these things comes with the experience. Now it's up to you whether you want to learn by yourself or you want to learn from somebody else, experience, etc. But important thing is in general, always compare yourself with the yesterdays of you and see what exactly you are bringing today's. That is that always is progressive. That always helps you to be relevant because you know yesterday I was not relevant or not enough relevant, and today I want to be. That helps.
That is actually really, really insightful, truly. And it is very essential to like what you do. I believe overdo
Or
what you
what you do. Yeah.
like. Definitely. Thank you so much, Archana, for this extremely insightful podcast. Our viewers would definitely have a great time watching it. And thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishita, and I really appreciate you considering me for this particular podcast. I'm really hoping that people are going to like what we have discussed today and have some wonderful time hearing this out and learn.
Definitely. They will definitely learn. And do drop us a comment if there's anything you want to ask Archana. We'll definitely shoot her a message if there's anything we can help out with. Thank you so much, everybody.